My name is Edwin Pierre, and I'm the owner here at Custom Sewing Services. I've been in the business about 13 years. I've initially opened with my mother, and I still have my partner to this day, which is my sister Mo. And we've been doing it for 13 years in terms of in our own capacity with our mother, but officially by ourselves, we've been doing it for 8 years. But prior to that, we've been doing it all our lives, basically.
So you grew up around
Grew up
Kunso.
around it. Grew up around it. I remember being young, hearing the humming of the sewing machines. Nowadays the sewing machines are a little bit quieter, right? But yeah, we've been doing it for all our life. All our life. When we were in our mother's artelier or our mother's various shops throughout Brooklyn, we would be doing things like sewing buttons, she's worked for large brands. She worked for Ralph Lauren, Club Monaco, just different people throughout the years. She worked one time with us on a clothing line by a rapper named Busta Rhymes. Some people are familiar with him.
Oh,
He
yeah.
had this Bushi clothing line that he had one time.
Do you see any parallels in between like clothing brands and music in the past, or like a trending into the future?
Absolutely. Hip hop in general, which is a music genre that's kind of been took over the world, right? It was always heavily intertwined with fashion ever since its inception. Not only was it a musical expression, but it was a kind of self-image also that came along with it, and that came with the clothing when there was the Adidas, when there was the track suits, we've seen baggy jeans, we've seen more fitted garments, a lot of brands were always name dropped in a lot of music. So it's very much intertwined.
Were you born in Brooklyn?
Yeah, born and raised in Brooklyn.
Born and raised?
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming, you've seen a lot of Brooklyn brands come and go. Are there any memorable ones that stick out?
Oh, Brooklyn ones. I think there might have been LRG. I think there was Aniche. Now, whether they're New York or Brooklyn brands, I don't know. But it was like Aniche back in the day. Of course, Fubu, and then it was Karl Kani, some of my inspiration back in the day.
So we've seen over the past X amount of years that manufacturing is moving overseas. People are making their garments in China, Vietnam. What is the advantage of keeping things in Brooklyn?
The advantage that I've seen my designers have is they get to move on their creativity much quicker, and also getting their design ideas just right. Because usually when it's overseas, sometimes there's a blockage in communication. We're dealing with a whole language barrier and things like that, and what's going on over there culturally as opposed to what's going on over here culturally. There's an ease of communication when folks say, this particular style, and we could already readily identify it and know where they're going with it. And also taking advantage of the accessibility of our designers to us, where they can give us more details to getting their designs exactly how they want it.
So kind of briefly, how is a garment created from just idea, something that's on paper, to something that's a physical item that you're holding in your hand?
Well, I'll simplify the process. There's some stuff that goes in between, but first is the design idea. And secondly is having the design idea. This is the artistic expression, right? Secondly, happens, it needs to become now a technical design. Now we need to see if your design idea makes sense kind of like mathematically, can this concretely be sewn? Is this something that can be worn by somebody, right? Then from there, it goes into the pattern making. This is like the kind of the blueprint to cutting the garment. And from there, it goes into a production pattern, which includes a marker layout. Then after that, it's the cutting, and then finally it's the sewing.
Honestly, having seen the cutting and the sewing and the pattern making and the sample making,
Yeah.
the way that you just broke that down make it sound so simple, but
Yeah.
it is not
It is
simple.
not. It is not. It is not.
Is there anything unique about Belleme that kind of makes us stand out?
It's the care of the fabric that I like. You know, usually people go out there and they just get the plain hoodie and then just put their logo on it, right? And that's good, right? So some of that is good as well, depending on the supplier they get it from. But it's the thing about Belleme going out there and looking for unique fabrics that may not have typically done an experiment with, fabrics that may not usually been used with this type of garment before, and coming to me with them like, oh, this works. And not only that, it drapes well. So that's the biggest thing that I've seen is it's the unique touch in fabrication, right? And the maturity in the brand that I saw with little minimalistic touches here and there, but you had a specific cut that you wanted. I saw that this brand had a good vision and a good direction.
Where do you see Belleme in 5 years?
Belleme in 5 years. To being a very well-known established brands, because as I'm looking at Belleme, I'm seeing a lot of things that correlates with other successful brands in terms of a solid style and a good vision and a good messaging behind the brand. Just a garment that I see somebody out there with, somebody that's stylish that would wear the garment. Let's see a lot of premium qualities in the brand in terms of the type of fabric that they're using.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
And with regards to labels, for example, you said that not a lot of brands are currently using labels. Do you see that as a good medium to try to tell your story of your brand?
Absolutely. I do see that as a good medium. Now, I have seen labels, but I haven't seen too much of what Belleme uniquely does is tell a story through the label. There's a subtle message that's there, that's reflecting what the brand DNA is about, what the brand is about.
Well, it looks like, you just moved into a new building, you're expanding, you're well on your way to kind of reaching your goals. What is some piece of advice that you'd give to somebody that knows what they want and are just starting to go after it?
Doing your homework and learning. It's a thing of constantly learning that has been one of my greatest things that has allowed me to achieve in this business, achieve the level of success I had in this business. It's going to take that little non-degree course in FIT, picking up a book from somebody that had a manufacturing company before, and always educating myself, always trying something new and improving. You always want to improve on what you're doing, that's my biggest advice.
Right on. Well, hey, I appreciate you spending time with me today.
It was a pleasure.
Hopefully, I know I took a lot out of it, and hopefully that we can make your prediction true about Belleme in 5 years.
Definitely. Let's make it happen.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you.